This is going to be a tough one. The murders of Joel and Lisa Guy. This is going to be a tough one. On November 26, 2016, 61-year-old Joel Guy Sr. and 55-year-old Lisa Guy were murdered and dismembered by their son, 28-year-old Joel Mitchell Guy Jr. in Knoxville, Tennessee. Is it bad if I'm actually going to Knoxville soon? The only thing I know about this guy is a very gruesome detail about what he did to him. Like, this was very vague. There's a detail that you're gonna go, what? Guy Jr. stabbed his father at least 42 times, his mother at least 31 times. He was convicted of both murders in October 2020 and received a sentence of life imprisonment. I mean, you'd hope so. I'd think with someone like that, you know? I've never looked into this. I have no clue what made him do it. Guy Jr.'s parents were soon to retire and would stop providing money to their son. Well, maybe if I read the next sentence, I think we now know the reason. This is going to be some Knives Out. He was to receive a $500,000 life insurance policy if both were dead or missing. What? The murder involved an elaborate plot to stab both parents, dismember and dissolve their remains, clean and burn down some of the house, as well as frame the father for the crime. Guy Jr. was injured during the stab and left the partially dissolved remains in the house when he left to dress his wounds. Before he returned, police discovered the bloody scene upon performing a welfare check by a co-worker that had called after noticing Lisa was missing. They also discovered a backpack containing a notebook detailing the plan, plastic bins with both parents' torsos and dismembered limbs dissolving in an acid-based solution of corrosive chemicals described by prosecutors as diabolical stew of human remains. Reminds you a little bit of Breaking Bad. And the mother's head in a pot on the stove, which had been boiling for over a day at the time of the discovery. Dude, that was the detail I knew about, that he put their heads in cooking pots and left them there. Like, you talk about, I don't even know, crocheting, anything will blow your mind. But you read this and it truly is a work of maybe actually the devil, who knows. Okay, we'll check in his background now. Let's see if there were any telltale signs, like if he was cutting the heads off of squirrels and shit back in the day. That's usually where it starts. Like when Michael Myers beat that kid with a stick. That scene was crazy. Joel Michael Guy Sr. All right, we care about his birthday. If any of you were born on February 10th, 1955 watching this, you might be possessed. He was a pipeline engineering designer. Lisa Guy, on the other hand, born August 8th, 1961 and died on November 26, 2016, was a human resources accountant, payable administrator at Jacobs Engineering in Rock Ridge. Their son, Joel Michael Guy Jr., graduated from the Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts in Natchitoches in 2006, and previously attended Hahnville High School. He had never worked and had always been supported by his family. Guy Jr. was described by others as distant and an outsider, and never bothered to establish a relationship with anyone in or outside his family, while his mother doted on him. What does that mean? He spent one semester at George Washington University. Did we not just read something about one of the recent serial killers go to this exact place? Or was it just like Washington University? Well, maybe it was the Ted Bundy one we were reading. And then he attended Louisiana State University as a student and lived in Baton Rouge until murders in 2016, ostensibly training to become a plastic surgeon. This just all adds up, dude. It's insane. He just wants to be a surgeon. He just wants to be Doctor Strange. He's gonna end up putting his parents' head in the pot. I mean, how does it go that far off the rails? That's an interesting way to refer to the family. The Guys had recently sold their Knoxville house and planned to retire in Surgoinsville. Guy Jr. was his three half-sisters attended what was to be the last event at the Knoxville house, Thanksgiving on Thursday, November 24th, 2016. All right, that seems to be the day this is all going to go downhill a little bit.
The Book of Premeditation. The prosecution at his trial dubbed the handwritten journal found in Guy Jr.'s backpack the Book of Premeditation? Oh, Premeditation. There's another story we have to look at. The brothers, the twins, something like that. And they butchered their parents to get money. Or were they boyfriends? I don't know, it was something like that. As it contained detailed notes outlining his intent to murder and destroy the remains of his parents. Oh no! The surveillance footage. Guy Jr. was caught on several surveillance cameras buying the supplies he would later use to murder and try to dissolve his parents. He used cash for every transaction and self-checkout most of the time. He bought supplies for the murder as easily as November 7th, purchasing several items at an Ace Hardware in Napoleonville, including muriatic acid and food-grade hydrogen peroxide. On November 18th at Home Depot, cameras recorded him buying the bleach sprayer, extension cords, and a timer. At Academy Sports on November 19th, he was seen buying a knife. On November 21st, cameras captured Guy Jr. at a Knoxville Walmart buying blue totes. Oh man. It's like Walter in Breaking Bad. He goes, "You don't buy them at the same place." Lisa Guy was also seen on surveillance footage shortly before her murder, buying items at Walmart at approximately 12:15. Alright, here we go. Oh man, the murders. Joel Guy Sr. On November 26, Guy Jr. attacked and killed his father with a knife in a second-floor exercise room while his mother was out shopping for groceries at Walmart. He waited till she was at Walmart. The scene showed evidence of a struggle with torn blinds, blood on the wall and corner, and an overturned Bowflex machine. They got the Bowflex machine. Lisa Guy, upon arriving home, entered through the front door, dropped the groceries on the floor of the foyer, proceeded upstairs, was attacked, and killed with a knife. 9 of her ribs were severed. What, dude? The dismemberment. This is like a Stranger Things title. Guy Sr.'s hands were removed at the wrists and left nearly on the exercise room by the Bowflex, dude. What? His hands by the Bowflex. Lisa's head was removed, carried downstairs, placed in a pot on the stove and heated. At trial, the forensic expert testified the head was not just severed but broken off with force. How the hell do you even do that? Both victims had their arms and legs disarticulated, Guy Sr. at the waist and Lisa at the knees, and their limbs and torsos were placed in a bin full of chemicals to dissolve. Each body had a large gash inflicted after death so that the chemicals would more quickly seep into the body's main cavity. This is fucking wild. This is Breaking Bad. Cuts to the perpetrator. In the assault on his father, Guy Sr. sustained several cuts to his hands, including a deep cut to his left thumb. At approximately 3:30 p.m., Guy Jr. was seen in Walmart's first aid section obtaining bandages and ointment for the wounds to his hands. He also purchased isopropyl alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. On Sunday, Guy Jr. drove back to Baton Rouge to have his wounds treated at the student clinic. Okay, the investigation. Lisa's boss, Jennifer Whited, was suspicious of her absence from work and called police for a welfare check. The welfare check. At first, Knox County officers, Stephen Ballard, I feel like we read about him before too. He's like world famous, like Dr. Oz. And Jeremy McCord and others found a seemingly empty house on Golden View Lane. The property was for sale, yet there was no real estate lock on the front door. They soon discovered the back door doorknob and had removed and installed on the front door. Through the front door, they could see groceries on the floor, including perishable items such as bacon, sausage, and ice cream. Though the hole left by the missing back doorknob, they could sense heat and a strange smell emanating from the house. And from another angle, they could see the groceries. An officer used a garage door opener in one of the guys' car to gain access to the house. They first discovered a table with the guy's wallets and sledgehammer on top, and then another with long guns. Oh my god, what was he gonna do with those? Downstairs, the stove was on and the contents of a pot were boiling. At the bottom of the stairs were the grocery items seen earlier. They ascended the stairs, hearing an intermittently barking dog. They looked down a hallway, saw Joel Guy Sr.'s severed hands on the floor by the Bowflex, and discovered the dismembered corpses in solution in the bathroom. Among other items, investigators found in the home were sewer line cleaner, a bag of baking soda drain opener, a bottle of muriatic acid, I or lye, hydrogen peroxide, several bottles of bleach, a spray bottle, a pair of gloves, and trash bags. Yo, this is the longest list ever. Investigators also discovered a note in an open suitcase with the name and address of a Louisiana Ace hardware store, along with a notation about sewer line cleaner. He's just got some inquiries. The toxins required biohazard equipment for removal by the Knox County Sheriff's Office hazmat team. Due to the volume of the evidence found, KCSO's forensic unit worked throughout Monday night and into the following day, processing the crime scene. The apprehension of the suspect, the FBI, Knox County Sheriff's Office, and East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office placed Guy Jr. under surveillance for a few days and apprehended him on November 29th as he was entering his 2006 Hyundai Sonata in the Nicholson Drive apartment complex parking lot in Baton Rouge. Dude, he's got the Hyundai Sonata. He was going to be a sergeant. This is all crazy. A meat grinder was discovered in the trunk of Guy Jr.'s car. He's not stopping, dude. He's like actually living out a freaking bad fantasy. The trial. Oh man, who doesn't like a good trial, dude? Guy Jr. pled not guilty. No, I didn't do it. Okay. Guy Jr. pled not guilty, yet filed a motion that he had been given the death penalty if convicted. Oh boy. Guy Jr.'s defense counsel, John Halstead and Jonathan Harwell, presented no evidence on his behalf. The prosecution was led by Leslie Nacios and Hector Sanchez. The trial took 4 days. Guy Jr. was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. He was also convicted of abuse of a corpse. Oh my god, bro. How about both of them? In 2023, an appeal to overturn the sentence of Guy Jr. was denied. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Of course he did it. Who else did it? The Scranton Strangler. Joe Michael Guy Jr. is currently incarcerated at the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tiptonville, Tennessee. He's like the real-life Joker. Dude, he went to the judge and he was like, yo, if this works out, how about you do this solid for me? That's it. Wild, bro. Literal Breaking Bad. We don't have a picture of this guy? We gotta find a picture. Everyone hold up now. How is he not on the page? Maybe they don't want to show his face to not... You don't want to show the killer because it makes him do it more. This is the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy. I feel physically ill, dude. Why is he so much fatter on this side of the face? I'm genuinely concerned, bro. I kind of have chills right now. This is, imagine that in a lunchbox. What a fucking sack of shit, dude. His parents were so nice. They took care of him. And this guy was going to become a surgeon. That's so unfortunate. You could just raise us a complete wacko. Hashtag fuck that guy, bro. Yeah, let him rot. Let him rot in that prison. How about that? That's fine with me. I think we're all in agreement with that. Dude, this is a wild one. I'm gonna wrap it up here though, guys. If you guys have been liking the true crime videos and you want more, hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow on Instagram. If you want exclusive content in the full-length reactions, and I got some exclusive true crime content gonna be transitioned from the second channel, how to private the videos, but I'll put them on Patreon. Let me know what you think of this. Have you heard of it? Let me know some other top cases to check out. I've been asking in the comments, and people have been saying some other ones. People have been saying Jack the Ripper. I really don't know much about Jack the Ripper, except he was kind of like, not the first, but one of the earliest, I think, recorded ones. So we'll have to check that out. All right. Appreciate you. See you in the next one.